Even more important is, again, review your day. How did it go? And bring to mind the positive things we did during that day. And then pick one positive thing and then do this empathetic joy. In other words, rejoice in our behaviour. Don't praise yourself, but rejoice in having done that behaviour that day. And the second point is, like resolve here, make a strong determination to continue to do that good behaviour the next day. So in that way we can strengthen positive habits and weaken negative habits. So that's how we can, in a practical sense, do these two supports, at least once a day at the end of the day, through reviewing the day. Any questions on that? Because now we're going to go into a meditation on empathetic joy.
Just thinking about those things that you listed, I'm thinking modern life, really, the bad and the good things that people experience is in their relationships. Let's say a couple is going through divorce.
Right, but hang on. We're not talking about the good and bad things we experience. It's about the good and bad things we do.
Okay, so when they fight with their spouse, the good and bad things that they do, they're not like huge things. They're not killing anybody or committing a crime, yet
right.
living like, I call it sometimes a theater of cruelty.
Right. So here, when we do this at the end of the day, you might look back on the day and you go, well, you know, I didn't really do any big negative things. But even small negative things, if we're doing them very often, they really hurt us and others. So particularly if we're doing these negative things with our partners or family members, even if they're not a huge negative thing, but because we're doing them so often, that's really creating a lot of harm to us and others. So pick one of those. It doesn't have to be some huge thing where we physically hit someone or, you know.
My question was, though, what it has to do with the subject of relationship.
What do you mean?
That it's in a relationship. You're doing something bad in the framework of a relationship.
No. I mean, we have relationships with everyone. It's just we have different relationships with our partner than our family and then our work colleagues. I mean, in the end of the day, we have relationships with everybody at some level. So I'm not sure the question.
No, I was just wondering, how would you apply that? So what would be the regret? I shouldn't have said that.
Well, yeah. I mean, regret is acknowledge that we've done or said something harmful to our partner. Maybe here, reaffirm that I really want to improve this relationship and develop this relationship in a good way. Maybe then we go and apologise to them and say, okay, for the next day, I'm not going to say any bad things about my partner, for example.
What is the fourth one? Yes.
Fourth? Oh, we haven't got there yet. We're going to do a meditation on empathetic joy, and then I'm going to talk about the last one.
Is there a benefit? I mean, I think, what's the balance to be drawn between doing these practices with yourself versus like a behavior that you're doing to yourself versus behavior to others?
Yeah. Of course, here we're talking about toward everyone. So here, I think if you're doing this daily, well, I mean, this is basically what our behaviour at the end of the day.
Toward anyone, including
right, but what we can do as well, of course, is, I mean, purification is, I mean, we can't purify others' behaviour. We can only purify our own behaviour. But in terms of empathetic joy, of course, we can rejoice in others as well.
Sorry, I'm our purification. Yes, so can we purify our own behavior towards ourselves that's harmful?
Oh, absolutely, of course.
I mean, that feels slightly self-masturbatory. Is there a balance? Like, if you do that all the time and you're constantly just focusing on your own little bubble of the world. It feels like you're not spending too much time. So is there something around? It's just
right, but again,
it's about balancing that.
Sure, of course, there's balance, but like here, you know, if we're not kind and compassionate to ourselves, we won't be able to expand that out to others. So if we're really, you know, doing a lot of negative things toward ourselves, we really need to try and reduce that. Otherwise, how can we, from that state, focus on others in any meaningful way? We're just going to project a lot of that negativity onto others. But of course, if we do cognitive fusion, then of course we're going to be beating ourselves up. So avoiding cognitive fusion, we can go through this process without becoming self-absorbed. Because our motivation for this is so that we can be in a better state to benefit others. So with these practices, what's key is the underlying motivation. And here in the Mahayana, of course, the motivation that we're developing for all practices, including this, is bodhicitta. So why am I purifying my mind? Is because I want to be of more service, better service to others.
Yes.
No.
Let's say someone does something harmful towards us, and he gets away with it or something.
Gets away with it.
Yeah.
Well, according to Buddhism, that's not possible. But
assuming they get away and they go
well, the compassionate thing to do would be, if they're a harm to society, is to take them out of society.
yeah, but sometimes it's not that easy. So because things are not always bound by the law, like
Sure.
there can be some.
Sure.
So anyway, it's hard to rejoice in let's call it difficult people. I think.
Of
maybe.
course, because we do cognitive fusion. That's why we can't rejoice, because we think they don't deserve it, because they're a bad person.
Because they hurt us or.
Exactly,
or close
exactly.
to us.
But of course, if that same person hurt our enemy, then we're happy, aren't we? We're happy for that person if they hurt our enemy. So then they're not a bad person, actually. They're a good person. So what we need to be careful here is the cognitive fusion. Because if we do the cognitive fusion, then rejoicing for someone who's done some bad behaviour feels like we're condoning that negative behaviour, that we're accepting it, but we're not. So we can, because everyone does sometimes good things and sometimes bad things. Everybody. And so when someone who's done a lot of bad things does a good thing, we can rejoice in that good behaviour. We're not rejoicing in them doing bad things. Because actually, what do we want from that person? We would like them to stop that negative behaviour and to increase their positive behaviour, don't we? So then we can be happy when they do a good behaviour, because we want them to continue to do that. And if they're doing a bad behaviour, then we can, with compassion, do whatever we can to stop that person from engaging in that harmful behaviour.
So is this rejoicing good behavior or rejoicing good fortune? Because there's a difference.
Right. Good fortune, though, is not... We're not saying that if someone steals and they get money, we rejoice in that. No, that's not good fortune. Good fortune here means that they receive a good result from doing a good behaviour. That's what we mean good fortune. So we're not rejoicing in someone who's now wealthy because they stole money. That's not good fortune. Okay.
Under the 4 opponent powers,
Right.
I understand how number 1, 3, and 4 looks like in reality. How does number 2 looks like in reality? Reaffirming the positive direction. Can you give an example how it looks like in reality?
Yeah. Like I said, in reality, if we're following the Buddhist path, our platform in Buddhism, in general, in all Buddhist traditions, is what's called refuge, which is going for refuge into Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So if this would mean, in reality, we would then reaffirm that I want to follow the Buddha's teachings. This is my direction in life. Therefore, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, that is what I am relying on in life. And in addition to that, if we're in the Mahayana, our goal is to achieve enlightenment so we can help everyone, which is bodhicitta. So we would we would generate that again. We would develop this aspiration: may I achieve enlightenment for the benefit of others. It would look like practically as a Buddhist, particularly in Mahayana. If you're not a Buddhist, again, it could be in your own words, whatever your positive direction wants to be, and it could be something like, I really want to benefit others as much as I can. That's my direction in life. I want to not really harm anyone. I want to help others as much as I can, for example. Just reaffirm that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do this practice. So we'll do an empathetic joy practice, a rejoicing practice. And then after that, we'll look at the last of the 4 immeasurables, which is equanimity. So as always, we begin by preparing the body. So back nice and straight. And allow the entire body to become completely relaxed, completely at ease. And preparing the mind. Simply allowing it to come to rest in the present moment. And simply becoming aware of the rhythm of the breath. Empathetic joy is a rejoicing in our own and others' virtue and good fortune. So we can cultivate empathetic joy by first bringing to mind a person who you know well, who radiates joy and well-being. And think about this person's physical presence, their actions and their words. And as you focus on this person's joy, open your heart to that joy and take delight in it. And next bring to mind someone for whom something wonderful has happened recently. And recall the delight of that person and share in their joy. And now direct your attention to someone who inspires you with their virtues. Virtues such as generosity, kindness and wisdom. And rejoice in their virtues and all those who are recipients of their virtue. Now direct your attention back along the timeline of your life to your earliest childhood memories. And bring to mind your first act of kindness that you can remember, either towards someone else or yourself. and rejoice in your kindness. And now gradually move along the timeline of your life from this earliest childhood memory, moving slowly through your childhood years, your adolescent years, adult years, right up to the present day. And attend to periods in your life where you've been a source of inspiration to yourself and perhaps others as well. And think of occasions when you embodied your own ideals, when you displayed acts of kindness. And rejoice in your virtues and acts of kindness. And it can be something as simple as being simply there, being there for someone. And of course also rejoicing in the good things that you have done for yourself. And we are here now attending this retreat, wanting to improve ourselves. So rejoice and take delight in this. And then once again go back on the timeline of your life to your earliest childhood memories and bring to mind the earliest kindness you can remember experiencing from another person. And take delight in this other person's kindness. And once again, moving gradually along the timeline of your life, from this earliest memory, slowly through childhood, adolescent, adult years, up until the present day. And recall all the people who were kind to you, helped you and supported you in your life. And as you breathe out your delight and your gratitude that people have shown you such kindness, that they've brought such kindness to the world.